Hello everybody. The topic of this section is valuation using comparables and the valuation model. In this section, we will study how to do valuating using comparable assets and the valuation model. As stated previously, no two distinct assets are identical in all respects. The process of valuation requires that we find assets comparable to the one whose value we want to estimate firstly, and then make judgments about which differences have a bearing on their value to investors. For example, suppose that you own a house and you should pay the real estate taxes on it to the local town government each year. The taxes are computed as a proportion of the house's estimated market value. You have just received a notice from the town's real estate assessor, notifying you that the estimated market value of your house this year is $500,000. However, your next-door neighbors just sold a house identical to yours for $300,000. You could justifiably appeal the town's assessment of $500,000 for the value of your house as being too high on the grounds. Because a house virtually identical to yours just sold for a price $200,000 less than your assessed value. You are implying that if you were to put the house up for sale, your expectation is that it would fetch a price of $300,000 because a comparable house just sold for that amount. In further, suppose the town's assessor says that he arrived at his assessment of $500,000 for the value of your house by computing how much it would cost to rebuild your house from scratch using the current cost of building materials. Do you think the assessor's valuation method is reasonable? The answer is no, because the cost to rebuild your house is not a measure of its market value. To estimate market value, one should look at the actual prices of comparable houses, such as the one your neighbor just sold for $300,000. Valuation is fairly simple when you can apply the law of one price directly, like the former example. However, because you almost never know the prices of assets that you are exactly equivalent to the one being evaluated, you must employ some other method for estimating value from the known prices of other assets that are comparable but not quite the same. The quantitative method used to infer an asset's value from information about the prices of other comparable assets and market interest rates is called a valuation model. Note that the type of model that is best to use depends on its specific purpose. For example, consider the valuation problem faced by the town assessor discussed previously. The town assessor has to estimate the values of all houses in the town once a year. Valuation models used in real estate assessment vary significantly in their level of complexity and mathematical sophistication. Because the town's taxpayer will have to pay for the cost of the annual assessment, they will want the method chosen to be implementable at low cost. There are two simple models the assessor might use. The first one is that the assessor can collect all available data on prices of houses in the town that were sold during the past year average term and use that average as its assessed value for all houses. This model is certainly inexpensive to construct and implement, but it almost surely would not be perceived as fair by those house owners with houses that were worth less than the average. Another simple method would be to take the original purchase price of each house and adjust it by a factor reflecting the general change in house prices in the town from the date of purchase to the current date. In further, suppose that house prices in the town have increased at an average rate of 4% per year for the past 50 years. A house bought 50 years ago for a price of $30,000 would then have a current assessed value. This current value is calculated by the future value formula. 30,000 multiplied 1 plus 4% to the 50th is $213,200. But some homeowners are sure to object that this method ignores changes that have occurred over time in the house itself. Some houses will have undergone major improvements, and others will have deteriorated. Moreover, the relative desirability of various locations in the town will have changed. The assessor faces a difficult problem in choosing among valuation methods and may end up using more than one. This example is about valuing real estate. Now, let's see valuing share of stock. A relatively simple model widely used in estimating the value of a share of firm's stock is to take its most recent earnings per share and multiply it by a price-to-earnings multiple derived from comparable firms. A firm's price-to-earnings multiple is the ratio of its stock price to its earnings per share. So, a simple model for estimating the stock value of a company is estimated value of a share of a stock is equal to the earnings per share multiply the industry average price to earnings multiple. For example, suppose that XYZ's earnings per share are $2, and the comparable firm in the same line of business have an average price-to-earnings multiple of 10. Using this price-to-earnings multiple model, we would estimate the value of a share of a XYZ stock to be 2 multiplied 10 and is $20. Note that in applying the price-to-earnings multiple model, one must use great care to make sure that what is being measured is truly comparable. Finally, let's do another quiz. A firm's earnings per share are $4 and the industry average price-to-earnings multiple is 8. What would be an estimate of the value of a share of the firm's stock? An estimate of the value is equal to 4 multiplied 8, $32. In summary, we have studied how to do asset valuation by comparables and valuing real estate and shares of stock by valuation models in this section. That's all about this section. Bye.